Hi, I'm Richard Powell from Production Room, and I'm going to be chatting today with Gareth Williams from Audient. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Audient iD22 audio interface. There's a lot of audio interfaces out there on the market. What we found is that the iD22 sounds really good. What are some of the reasons for that?
It's a collection of reasons. It's a combination of decades of research in audio design, making consoles, making products, and combining that with using the very best and latest chips available on the market. So we have our sort of famous Class A mic preamp, which you can find in the iD22 is common to the consoles, the 8024 and the ASP4816, and our new ASP880 8-channel preamp. So that's common. But we've combined then high quality analog circuits with top of the range Bird Brown converter chips. It's the combination of great circuitry before the chips and then the chips themselves to give us pretty much class leading performance.
And that's why we get such a professional sound out of such a little box.
That's exactly why.
A lot of our customers using DAWs, using lots of different types. There's lots out in the market. Which DAWs does the iD22 work with?
The iD22 will work, it's actually not DAW specific at all. It will work with any audio producing program on your computer. So whether that's as simple as iTunes or stereo playback or Pro Tools. The iD22 works with a mixer app. So it's a separate piece of software that runs on your computer, and that sits in between whatever is at your DAW or any program producing audio and the actual controls of the iD22. So it's non-DAW specific, you can use it with whichever program you like.
Excellent. Now I remember when the iD22 first came out a few months ago, it was Apple Mac operating system only. It's now got Windows drivers as well.
It has indeed.
Which OSs in specifically will it work with?
On the Mac side, you need to be running 10.6.8 or later, which, if my memory serves me right, is Snow Leopard onwards, and it's fully tested with Mavericks, so it's bang up to date. But for those with older Macs, it will work. With Windows, it officially supports 7 and 8. Though we have reports of people running it successfully with older systems, but I can only say officially it's 7 and 8.
Excellent. Now, the iD22 is 2 microphone preamps, and there are 2 inputs, and it's got a myriad of different options for plugging other things in around the back. I know it's got 4 analog inputs, but it's also got ADAT optical input and output. What does that allow us to do?
Okay, it gives you flexibility. Out of the box, you have two inputs, and that's mic or line, and you have 6 outputs. 2 of which are for the high voltage dedicated headphone feed, and 4 assignable outputs where we see people using from their main monitoring, and then if you're tracking perhaps for headphone feeds or if you're mixing a second set of monitors. The ADAT in and ADAT outputs, and the ADAT input is simply if you want extra inputs into your system without having to buy a new interface, then you match it with another preamp or input device with ADAT output. I'm going to suggest quite heavily the ASP880. They have been designed to combine very, very well, which you would end up with 10 Class A mic preamps in one system. However, any preamp device with an ADAT output will interface with the iD22. With the output, if you're using outboard perhaps, and you have another converter in your system, you can then, from a mixer's point of view, come out of your system, go to your outboard, and come back in. Some people have been using it for 5.1, where they've sent 6 discrete sources out to their mixer. I'm gabbling now. This isn't a 5.1 monitoring box, but you can derive 6 separate discrete outputs to give 5.1 if you want to.
So we can have 10 inputs, so we could mic up a drum kit and still be able to put a bass guitar and a lead guitar in there. And coming out, I could have 10 outputs coming into a mixing desk. I could have 5 stereo.
The thing to mention is it is an optical output, so you would need, if you are coming into a mixing desk or another system, you would need the converter to then make it digital analog again from the digital domain. But it is all about flexibility. It's very powerful in its sort of native state as is. Add in an extra 8-channel pre, and you have got a studio in a box. This really does work as a hub. You're controlling your monitors. It has on each of the input channels has a balanced insert point, discrete. So you've got a separate send and return. So integrating any outboard you have, your compressors, your EQs in the analog domain, you can do that. So it really is the hub. Anything you want to plug into it, you can, and it makes recording a joy, really.
Great. Now, as with a lot of audio interfaces now, the iD22 comes with its own dedicated control panel. What kind of things can you change in that?
Okay, the control panels, if I take it back a step, if I may, one of the design briefs for the iD22 was we like the principle of one function, one knob per function. We like the fact that this is always your main volume knob, these are always your main pre, this is always your cut and dim. However, it's obviously a small footprint, it's plausible. There are some more functions that we wanted to get at to be able, so we have 3 function keys here, and these can be user defined within our software to do each 4 jobs. So you can use this to polarity reverse. You can set it to alt speakers, so to move from your main speakers to your second set of speakers. You can use it to act as a talkback button, so the unit, if you plug a microphone in, will act as a talkback. It will dim the main monitors and enable you to talk to your artist. And finally, the final option is to sum, so it's to mono sum. So whether you're mixing or tracking, and depending on your personal preference, you can choose any of the 3 options and select those buttons. But it's simply a right-click button to change it again. So as you're moving through your sessions, you can user define that as you like.
That's fantastic. That's the Audient iD22. Thanks for watching this video.